Hello, friends. Today I wish to talk to you about the Chandrayan 2. The Chandrayan 2 is India's planned second mission to the moon. The main objective of this is to check the presence of lunar water, also to study some of the rocks found in the lunar surface. So it is going to land at the south pole of the moon. Nobody has sent to the South Pole so far, so this is going to be the first time. So it's going to be a very proud moment for India. In this lecture, I'm going to tell you how it is going to be launched. What are the things that its payloads are? What does it carry? All these things we are going to talk about in this lecture. This mission was planned by ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization. The mission is planned to be launched to the moon by a geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle. This is what is called the GSLV Mark III. This will include three things: a lunar orbiter, a lander, and a rover. We are going to see what these things are: the orbiter, the lander, and the rover. All these are developed domestically. The main scientific objective, of course, is to check the lunar water, presence of lunar water. Chandrayaan 2 will be attempting a soft landing on the north pole, on the south pole of the moon between two craters. Then the wheeled rover, which I will show you in the next page, will move on the lunar surface and will perform on-site chemical analysis. It will relay the data to Chandrayaan 2, the orbiter, which will further relay it to people on Earth. So on the left you see the GSLV Mark III. This is a three-stage vehicle. This is India's most powerful launcher. First, it will place the spacecraft in Earth's parking orbit. So now I'm going to tell you how this works out and how we are going to put the rover and the lander on the moon. So you can see in this, first after the launch, so the GSLV is going to launch from here, and first it will place the spacecraft in something called as the Earth's parking orbit. So you can see the Earth's parking orbit, which is called as EPO. This one. Now here the mission is to check in the spacecraft, make sure all is well, and then it will transfer it to the lunar transfer trajectory. This one, the lunar transfer. So here you can see how it moves. So this keeps on increasing in size, and finally it moves on to the lunar transfer trajectory. Once it has reached that, the spacecraft will now fire its engines once more at the vicinity of the moon to insert itself into the lunar orbit. So this is going to be the lunar orbit here, this part. So at this stage, it will fire the engines. Now this will move, the orbiter will move at 100-kilometer radius, finally around the moon. The lander will now separate from the orbiter and make a soft landing. The lander is called Vikram. So you can see in the next slide, I will show you, there are three things: the rover, the orbiter, the lander. Now the orbiter is something which is going to orbit around the moon, as the moon say. The lander will land on the moon, the craters, between craters, and it will keep moving. And it will release the rover. The lander is called Vikram, and the rover is called Pragyan. The rover will travel around 3 miles, zero point 0.3 miles. Its main job is to collect rock samples and soil and do some testing and relay that data. It will do the testing in the rover itself, automatic testing, and it will send that information to the orbiter, as well as it will send it directly to the Indian Deep Space Network. So this information will tell us about the various rocks that are present in the moon, the soil, the types of soils. All this is done in a small laboratory, and the rover is something which will go very slow. It is be there in orbit for 1 lunar day, or that's also 14 Earth days. The orbiter is equipped with the terrain mapping cameras. It's got the spectrometer, various spectrometers, X-ray monitors, and infrared spectrometers. The rover will have only two scientific instruments, one for soil testing, one for rock testing. So if all goes as per plan, the Chandrayan 2 mission this summer will attempt a soft landing on an ancient high plain of the moon, some 600 kilometers from the South Pole, and it will be the first landing so far from the equator. The rocks in the moon are almost 4 billion years old. So scientists say the zone likely is composed of very ancient magma ocean. Now this is going to throw some light as to how life was many years back, or how Earth was, rather how the universe was many years back. So this is a pretty exciting event. Unfortunately it got delayed, and so now let's wait for the 22nd where this is going to be launched. Thank you for watching.